What's up, everybody? Celtic Scarecrow here, back with another video to get those 10s and 20 views. Unfortunately, I did this video already, and my mic decided to go full squeaky squirrel on me. So, unless you spoke squirrel, you would not have understand it.
Did you eat the acorn?
Squeaker, squeak, squeak, squeaking.
You owe me a new acorn.
Squeak, 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 squeakers.
Squeaking.
I'm so proud of you guys.
Unfortunately, I also had with the Dragon Ball Z video, so I've been fighting with that as well. But that's solely on the Rumble, and I got that one squared away. If don't forget to do the thing,
Bolin, do the thing.
What thing?
The thing! I never had to tell Julie what thing.
I'm not Julie, okay? Pretend I don't know anything about anything that's happening here.
Like the video if you like this video. Subscribe if you like what I'm kind of doing. And I do appreciate that. Thank you. You can dislike it. I will slightly hold it against you. But please, in the comment section, tell me why, so I can get better and grow. The beard's going away once I get done all this. And mistakes were possibly made on fantasy football. I benched Josh Allen for Baker.
What?
Thinking the Rams was going to show up and play defense. They did not. So I got to hope Baker just really balls out on this game. Also, with the Rumble page, I'm trying to fix the fact that I had like 2 places for videos, and by fixing, everything about that, so it should, working on that. Enough of Rumble, and let's get to this. This was a request by Big Gator 5. Said pretty much, my computer wants to work with me. Who said who was upset that Rumble got mad at me. He's a good fan. Also, do not mind the dark shadow. I haven't fixed all the lighting because I'm not getting paid for this. Also, this is a blanket behind me working as a back brace because there's nothing. There's nothing till way back here, unlike the wall that's here. But that's it. But he suggested extra history Otto than Bismarck. He watched those videos during the pandemic. So, figured, why not? He's a good subscriber. So, and unfortunately, this would have been a genuine, first time reacting. But, yeah, the mic went rogue on me. So, hopefully it does its job here, and we can just get through this. And go.
You cannot always tell the character of a man from the...
Okay. We're having technical difficulties.
Meet Harper. Harper was born to care and always had your back.
It could be the fact that I am re-uploading all my videos
and made the save just in
Rumble,
time.
or the fact that I am rendering the Dragon Ball Z video as we speak, but hopefully it works. Back it up with frame and go.
You cannot always tell the character of a man from the character of his youth.
Very true. Also, I'm a really big fan of history and all that kind of stuff. That's why I like watching the oversimplified history and mythology. Which the mythology part is going to be played on Tuesday video, which is going to be about the House of Black, both the Harry Potter and Malachi Black, who I got released from AEW, so the video kind of a week late. It was going to be like my second video on the channel, but confidence and all that other stuff made it not. I'm still going to do it. It's coming out this week. Or this Tuesday. Bonus, throat's feeling a lot better. So, Twitch. I should be back on Twitch soon, too.
1878, the Congress of Berlin. A graying man with a proud walrus mustache stands and says, "Europe today is a powder keg, and
Yeah.
the leaders are like men smoking in an arsenal.
This is also right before World War One.
A single spark will set off an explosion that will consume us all. I cannot tell you when that explosion will occur, but I can tell you where. Some damned foolish thing in the Balkans will set it off." 1897.
100% correct.
A prince in the middle of his life goes to visit the man, the old man now. It is the last time the two will meet, for the younger Wilhelm II dismissed this old man years before. But as their visit concludes, the old man issues a warning. He says, "Your Majesty, so long as you have this present officer corps, you can do as you please. But when this is no longer the case, it will be very different for you." Then he says, "The crash will come 20 years after my departure if things go on like this." The old man will die in July of 1898. In November 1918, that prince, Wilhelm II, will abdicate the throne, having lost the backing of his army in the disaster that was the First World War. Bismarck's prediction was off by only 4 months.
He did better than the mines. Pretty damn good, accurate guess.
Such was the mind that would use Europe for a chessboard and redraw the map forever. But this was something that few could see in his youth. Otto's time in grade school was middling, and we know little of his early teenage years. But
You hear that a lot about like the real geniuses of the world, especially that era. They just school was not their thing.
at 17, when he enters college, we begin to get a picture of the man. 6 feet of dashing, with a tousled mane of copper blonde hair, often seen walking not with a walking stick, but with a twisted staff of iron.
Certain little angry Jewish man would have liked him. Oh yeah, he was originally Jewish.
He cut a dashing figure. Classes weren't really for him. He stopped going almost immediately, preferring Byron and Walter Scott as tutors to any other. He was
I'm guessing they're authors. I'm not big into reading. Dyslexia!
quick with words and equally quick to a challenge. He got himself into more than one duel per month while he was at his first university, engaging in 26 contests of honor and being wounded only once. To his dying day, he would insist that he was only wounded because his opponent's rapier broke. He consumed
That's impressive. Just saying.
monumental amounts of alcohol, discovered a profound, if not so profound, love of the fairer sex, and managed to rack up a small mountain of debts.
The alcohol and the lust for women. Yeah. Go look at some of our founding fathers. The amount of alcohol they drank. Ben Franklin's time in France with the women.
Most intriguing of all, though, he got himself cast as a character named Otto von Rabenmark when his roommate wrote a novel about their wild college life. By the way, this man, who was quite aptly named Motley, would soon become a historian of some note, and one of the diplomats who kept Europe from siding with the Confederacy in the American Civil War.
Good man. Good man.
Anyway, that wild college life of theirs eventually caught up to Otto, and he moved to Berlin both to attend law school and to dodge the consequences of his roguish ways. Still rooming with Motley, he never once went to class while in law school. But when graduation time drew near, he hired what is politely known as a crammer at the last minute, and managed to pass the exam to become a practitioner of law.
Yeah, my boy Adam wishes that thing was around today, because he got kicked out of the Philadelphia Art Institute for not attending enough classes, but won best in his grade. So he was their best student for his field, which was graphic design, but he couldn't attend the award because he didn't show up to enough classes. More or less because they started putting him in classes that he took in high school, and he needed money to live in Philly and pay for college, so he worked overnight. So worked out for him now. He's making good money and happily married with 2 small people. And draws stuff when I ask him to. You know, I feel bad for asking.
And all the while, he read voraciously. Not only romantic poets, but also history, economics.
And the Necronomicon, apparently.
Economics and philosophy, although not the heady abstractions of Hegel or Kant that were the rage at the time. By the time he left law school, he felt ready for a career in the diplomatic service. Unfortunately, the foreign minister did not hold a high opinion of the diplomatic abilities of Prussian nobility, and
Prussia, I think Germany, Poland, and that whole eastern bloc of Europe was pretty much one country at one time.
preferred to hire from without. So, rather than being assigned some glorious foreign posting, Bismarck was soon sent to Aachen, a territory taken from the French.
Does that mean, like, roughly Germany? So, yeah, so I was saying about the Eastern Bloc. Big problem. Why aren't those two probably countries touching? Just saying.
In the Napoleonic Wars, and he was given the job of figuring out how to better integrate it into Prussia.
Try conquering this middle section so it's one giant country.
This task never really captured his interest. It was the English he was far more interested in, for Aachen had become a popular spa and vacation spot for the English gentry, and, more notably, their daughters. Unfortunately, he was soon canned after he overstayed a river trip with one of these daughters by 3 months.
Yeah, you kind of don't show up for 3 months because you're banging some rich noble guy's daughter. That's saying something.
It took some significant family influence to get this self-designated leave quietly swept under the rug, and Otto was soon involuntarily volunteered for the army.
Probably her family, not his.
But before even his year of mandatory service was done, his mother took ill and died. This tragedy finally made his path clear. His father had never been good at managing anything, and his mother had run their more unruly estates. With her passing, Otto would take over this duty. A gentleman farmer's life for him. He was completely unprepared for this task, but he did still have his secret weapon, the one expedient that had carried him through every challenge life dealt him.
A big penis.
Cramming. So as his military
That's probably what he was doing on that 3-month vacation. Cramming.
service wrapped up, he devoured books on agricultural science, estate management, and economics. He even managed to get himself into a soil chemistry course at a nearby agricultural institute. Armed with this knowledge, he set to his task with vigor. And so, even as the agricultural markets of Northern Europe collapsed around him, his estate grew in value, and his diligence was matched only by his eccentricity.
David Bowie of the 1800s.
He
Farmer style.
became known for unpredictable behavior, like marking his entrance into a neighbor's house by firing a pistol into their ceiling.
That's not safe and violates at least 2 of these, what I know would be like the golden rules of owning a firearm.
Or releasing foxes into people's drawing rooms. He earned the nickname the Wildman Bismarck from the locals, and, as always, from the local ladies as well.
I bet they didn't mind the wild man of Bismarck.
But this wild man treated his laborers well, much better than their ceilings and drawing rooms anyway, and he further devoted himself to his studies, diving deep into history, poetry, English politics, and even philosophy, though he did still have a preference for Spinoza over the German philosophers that were informing many of his more liberal colleagues' thoughts at the time. All of this, and perhaps age, began to refine him, to smooth out his roughest edges. And though country life weighed heavy on him, in many ways he was well suited for it. It looked as though the life of a country squire was to be his calling.
Yeah, it seems like guys like him, you put them in any task, they'll excel.
Over time, he settled in, he made friends. He even married a woman who seemed wholly unsuited to him. A quiet, devout woman with no interest in politics or English poetry. But she made him quite happy.
The quiet religious ones go into 2 categories. They'll stay like super religious, like I'm only gonna do this one thing, or they turn to complete freaks in the bedroom. Based on the fact that he was known as the wild man, I'm going number 2.
In fact, he adopted
There's nothing wrong with that either.
her religion, pietism, to marry her. And such is the strange character of Bismarck that he did so earnestly, or at least he adopted the parts of her faith which he earnestly found compelling. But her father doubted that Otto was sincere in his conversion. This was the wild man Bismarck, after all. But Bismarck had a plan. Bismarck always has a plan.
Like I said, I did already react to this. My mic decided not to work. Ladies, if you think your man truly loves you, would any of your men do what he's about to do?
He wrote his beloved's father a letter detailing his path to finding faith, and when the man still hesitated, Bismarck, being Bismarck,
Most people don't write letters nowadays.
seized the moment, tore all the way across Pomerania in the middle of winter, and showed up at the man's estate to convince him in person.
Yeah, how many guys won't even just go to the girl's house because of the rain or snow? No car, man probably rode a horse or walked the entire way. That's true love right there.
When Bismarck returned from this excursion, he found on his desk a letter. It was an invitation to take charge of running the dikes on the Elbe.
Not going to. No comment.
It may not seem like much, but it was an official position. His time in the doghouse with the government might be over. So he attacked the work. Then, in 1847, something monumental happened. The King of Prussia called a parliament. For the first time, Prussians would get together, debate, and vote on things. But Otto's wedding date was near, and besides, he hated Berlin, and he was a staunch conservative, believing in the power of the monarchy at a time when liberalism and democracy were in vogue. Even the idea of a parliament grated against his royalist leanings, for though this
Not perfect.
was a summoned rather than an elected parliament, it was almost certainly going to be used to push for a proper elected parliament, one which, by its very nature, must take its power from the royal government. So he was reluctant to go.
No, it's back then where he can just act like he never got the letter. Sorry, I got married and went on honeymoon. I didn't see your letter until I got back. No, that whole chestnut.
Even if he were to be summoned, he might not. But then fate turned. He received another letter. An acquaintance, whose good graces he wanted to stay in, had suddenly fallen ill, and now requested that Otto take up his post as representative of the Prussian Saxon nobility. This request made no sense, as technically Otto was not part of the Prussian Saxon nobility. His estates were all either in Altmark or Pomerania.
The places.
But never mind that, he couldn't turn down such an important request. So he made his way to the United Diet, where a push...
I need to go on a little United Diet myself. Also shows how much he values people. Treated his workers kindly. His friends hey, I'm sick, go in my place because I trust you. And he was like, I don't want to go, but you're my friend, so I will. So
for a true parliament was already in session. Pro-democratic speeches were given. One man got up and declared that the Prussian people had only thrown back Napoleon because they were promised a constitution. This was too much. Bismarck stood and responded that the Prussian people had thrown back Napoleon for Prussia. Did the man really think that Prussians wouldn't have stood up against an invader without being promised a piece of paper? The hall erupted in boos. People shouted and stamped. The place was chaos. But Bismarck, being Bismarck, just picked up a newspaper and began to leisurely read through it until they were quite done.
that is a savage move right there. Savage.
And then he finished his speech. And in that moment, Bismarck, the country squire, became Bismarck, the statesman.
No, this is actually highly entertaining, and I will be continuing this on Saturdays. Because, like I said, that is actually highly entertaining. I do like history. Hopefully my mic isn't all squeaker McSqueakins, and I don't need to do this in a third take. Hopefully not, but until then, see weird people later.